Time for the 5-day planner. Mike Bono and Mark Mancuso with you this hour. Melvin Foy is our director as we take a look and sum up some of those totals. Folks really in the dark. We came up with a new color here to give you more than 24 inches of snow. So they're in the dark in a lot of New Jersey, Pennsylvania. In fact, a state of emergency is existing, so that's why I'm saying that. And on into southwest Virginia and parts of Kentucky. Now the skiers are just having a field day if you can just get to the ski resort. This is such a monumental storm that some of the roads are just very hard to negotiate. Nearby, not too far from New York City, Elizabeth, New Jersey, 32 inches of new snow. Philadelphia, an all-time record with 30. Dulles Airport had, I believe, 27 back in the President's Day storm, so that's not a storm record. But some 24-hour records at Roanoke and Lynchburg, Virginia. Philadelphia had a 24-hour record. LaGuardia has 22 inches on the ground right now, and Boston up to 11. Let's take a look at our satellite photograph. And you can see quite an impressive shield of blue clouds. These are the high clouds and snow falling under this. A very well-developed storm. Now the low pressure moving out offshore. And you can see where it is right now with the snow up to about the southern tip of Maine, New Hampshire, and sweeping on back into the eastern Carolinas, but a lot of wind and cold all the way down to just about the Gulf. We take a look at the pivoting and tilting of our precipitation area as it brushes on up into the coastal islands of Maine, and some gale, if not storm force winds, still coming down pretty hard around New York and still snowing in Boston and even down to Washington, so it's not giving up, but the accumulation is definitely slowing down. Now let's check our forecast for the afternoon and we'll see where that low is headed. South of Cape Cod, slowly easing on eastward, and that slow movement is one of the things that keeps this thing going and keeps it dumping snow. But out in the Midwest, we're looking at a warm flow of air down from the Rockies, so dramatically warmer temperatures. It'll start slow because there is snow cover out here, but by the end of the week, you could be into the 60s, as we'll see on up into South Dakota, as low pressure keeps that north wind going tomorrow morning off the east coast. A chilly wind. We'll have a weak weather system with widespread light snows. There's really no moisture source for this except for the Great Lakes, so the lakes will probably have more than anyone else. But it'll just make it a cloudier day in a lot of the Northeast, including New York City and Boston. You're in the grip of it now, with some rain to the northwest and some snow even into the Rockies. San Francisco could get some showers, but until then, 60s, 80s still in the desert. It was even up to 90 in Southern California, 87 at the Civic Center in L.A. Looking at some seasonably cold weather. At least the temperatures are not totally out of control. You expect them to be hanging around 20 on the coastline when you've got a snowstorm going through. 70s back in Texas and 80s in the desert southwest. We see temperatures not far from normal, even east of the Rockies, warming up in the high plains and 60s on up to Redding and Red Bluff. You're really not having much of a rainy season so far this year. You had one tremendous storm in the northwest, but after last year's January, which was a record breaker, and then March was another big one, so far it's been pretty dry. Let's take a look at precipitation systems. We're looking at snow showers again Wednesday, but here's our next troublesome weather system coming through. Looks like the rain-snow line will be certainly out of the deep south this time, unlike the last storm. But a trough still digs, it still deepens, and the Appalachians are right on the edge with rain, snow, and a mixture even to Washington. Then by Saturday, that cold air really sweeps on through again, cold and somewhat snowy in the east. More on the cold coming.